Okay, let's start. So our goal today is to explore how we can configure Keycloak as a client management solution for Anypoint platform and dive deeper than all the articles or videos that you can find on the internet, because there are some edge use cases which nobody is showing or which are not available out of the box, and we'll see how we can manage them. So out of the box, Anypoint supports client management with any OpenID Connect compatible client, which Keycloak is. But each of these clients, or this OpenID specification regarding dynamic client registration, is slightly flexible, and each and every client does something differently. So out of the box, Anypoint platform supports very well OpenAM, Bing Federate, and Okta. And Keycloak, not that much, and we will see why. Right, so what we are doing, we are actually configuring OpenID Connect client management according to this specification, and creating clients will be easy, so registration will be easy, we'll see that, but when it will come to doing updates of the clients or deleting the clients from the Anypoint platform, we'll see the limits of the integration between the Anypoint platform and Keycloak and how to solve them. So what we need in order to start is, let's say, a trial account on the Anypoint platform. Here I have one. Some APIs, and also a Keycloak itself. So an easy way to get a test instance of Keycloak is I'm using Skycloak. You just register for a 7-day trial account. That's what I did. When you register with a Keycloak, you get a default realm. So realm is like a space where you consolidate all your clients. It's like a folder, one could say. So master realm is like the default main one. Then we'll continue creating a new one and seeing how we configure a client provider. In Anypoint platform, if you want to configure an additional client provider, so I do already have one configured, but we'll add a new one. Before we are adding a new client provider, we have to say, so the question is what's happening with the default one, and per default Anypoint platform provides you with an embedded client provider. And if you're adding, so just by configuring a new one, nothing will happen. When we will assign a client provider to an environment, right, so we will see what it's doing. And basically the default one will not be available anymore, but any API that's already connected and has clients with the default client provider, it will continue working. So let's start. Let's register a new client provider. It's the most complex part to give it a name. Right, and also to type it correctly. So Keycloak, brand new provider. We don't need a description. Issuer. So where do we get all the details about the dynamic client registration, tokens, and like all these authorization URLs? So these are the details of your realm, which you have to create here. So let's create a new realm, right? Give it a brand new realm, right? And also make no mistakes. It's enabled. So brand, I think, oh, I thought I needed to give it a different name. No, name is okay. Right, so now we have a realm. In the realm, we have the realm settings, and this is all the endpoints on how to talk to our realm, including how to register the clients in our realm. And here we have the issuer. That's the first link we'll need. It goes here. Client registrations URL. Let's take the default one. Clients. So the registration endpoint of our realm. This is how we're going to register the clients. We'll leave the authorization header empty because per default the OpenID protocol for dynamic client registrations allows us to register public clients without any authentication. And this is what Anypoint platform is doing, and this will be the use case 1, and we'll see where it gets to its limits. But first, just leave it as is, right? We will enable updating and deleting clients from the Anypoint platform as well. Next, let's fill in the URLs to verify our tokens. They are here at the very beginning. So authorization endpoint, token endpoint, and the token introspection endpoint. While we are doing that, thing to consider, how many realms do you need actually? I tend to do per default, so as a rule of thumb, a realm per environment type. Let's say I have development, staging, and production. And then all the contracts, so application clients, which you create in the Anypoint platform will land in that realm, right? So all my production application clients will be in the production realm. All my test application clients will be in a test realm. You could push this granularity even further because on the Anypoint platform, the clients, they are kind of per environment and the business group. So you could have, right, any kind of setup you want. I personally do it like per environment type. So next we need a client. And so that's kind of a client which will be used for managing other clients and also doing token introspection. And we need to create that client. So a client is a contract, is an application client in Keycloak, which will be used for management. Let's create a client, give it a name. Right, an ID. Next. Now we need this client to not be a public, but confidential in order to have access to the management functions of the Keycloak and also to being able to authenticate itself as a service account role and to manage other clients. So we need to click this and we'll need to assign additional roles to this client and we need it to act as a service account. So I'll check this as well. We'll skip all these details. So now we have a client, it has an ID and we need this here and it has credentials. Right, so we can copy it and client secret goes here. Now we can even show it. Right, so this is creating a client. Right, we have our Keycloak brand. Oh, I did make a typo. Let's fix it. Brand new provider. All right. Okay, so now the client is not assigned to any environments, meaning we haven't affected anything. Now we will assign it to an environment. Let's go to our business groups, retail business group, environments, sandbox environment. We will see there is already one provider assigned here, meaning the original Anypoint client provider is not available anymore in this environment for the new APIs, but only this one. And now also this one. So now we have two. One of them could be default. And we will see how they are selected when we create an API. Right, let's update. So now what I can do, I can go to my API manager. I have an API here. Come on. Well, it's embarrassing. Let's reload. Okay, so I do have this, the infamous T-shirt service API. Let's look at its settings. It's currently configured to use the default client provider. Let's configure it with our new one. Save. I could do this if I had active contracts for my API with the previous client provider. I would have a warning saying you cannot change client provider because you already have contracts. Since I have none, it worked. Now with this new client provider, I can go and create a client. So I would like to subscribe to this API and being able to use it. Let's see how that works. Let me request access. I will create a new client, so new application. New application, one. Yeah, let's check the grants which we want to use. By the way, I find it really uncomfortable for consumers to select it by themselves. So localhost. So I would prefer it being pre-filled. So my bet is this won't work now, and this will be the first challenge with the Keycloak. So you have now followed many manuals, right, which tell you how to do it. You create a client and then it tells you, no, bump. You're hitting the trusted host policy of Keycloak, which we need to adjust for it to work. So we go to Keycloak. Trusted hosts is a realm scope policy. So if we, but it's configured actually in the client registrations of the realm. So we see here trusted hosts, and what do we configure? It's not this. It's the host from which the requests are coming. So this is the host where the access management feature of Anypoint platform is running. And how do we know which one that is? We can check if we go to events. There are no events yet, but let's configure them. So let's enable the admin events and the user events. So it's kind of logging. And now go into events and let's trigger this once again. Right, so it failed again. Now we should see an event. Hopefully. Yeah, so now we can see an event telling us that client registration failed, and it tells us it came from this IP. If we look at this IP, so this is the IP where access management backend is running. Let's see which host it is. We will figure out that it's running somewhere on AWS. In my case, Europe, because my Anypoint application is in Europe, as you can see. So we need to configure this host as trusted. Let's do that. So clients, something, trusted hosts. I won't mess with the client URIs, it's too long to type, but let's trust any host which, so any domain which is right coming from here. And save. And I think this should work now. So we should be able to register a new application. It does, right? We do have an SLA. So at this point of time, an application client is already created. Yeah, we can see it here under clients, right? This new application one. It has an ID. This will be the client ID which we receive back. It already has a secret. We just don't see them yet here. But if I request access, so the Anypoint platform just tells me, right, so here are your credentials. Let's keep them right aside for a sec. We'll use them later. Now, I can use these credentials right away. We'll do that and we'll see how it works. Right, so with these credentials, now let's configure, let's secure our API. Or I think it's already secured. Let's check that. API manager. Policies. Okay, I already do have OpenID Connect token enforcement. So this policy will, right, it will verify the token against the configured client provider. I can add scopes here, right? So if I need some customized additional security, so the scopes which I add here in the policy will be verified against these client scopes in my client, which was created. I won't do that now. I'll expose headers. So, right, it's already configured. Now let's see how that works, right? And by the way, so what I didn't say, this policy is available only after you configure an OpenID client provider. Before you do it, you don't have it. You have only the regular client ID enforcement. So now with this policy, right, what we can do is we can use the tokens and verify the tokens. I do have, so here's this t-shirts API. As you can see, I tested it before, but let's just do this. So let's say I'm not sending any authorization. And right, so access token was not provided, bad request. Let me do the wrong thing and pretend I would like to use the client ID and secret, right, as maybe before. So my client ID and the client secret which I received. And this won't work, right? Because we need, so with the policy we've configured, we need a token, we need a bearer token. So this is some old token which is here. It will not work right? So this is an old token, it's revoked. So we need to grab, like, as somebody who is consuming this API, now I need to grab a token and provide it to this API. So how do I get a token? I'm getting a token against a token API of my realm, right? So if we were here, here's a token endpoint of my brand new created realm. And let's check that. So let's replace this URL with our token. And now, right, as a client, I have my client ID. I have my client secret. I should be able to get a token from my token endpoint. Right, I do. And with this token, which is valid for 5 minutes, I can use my API. Right, so if I put it here, now it should be verified and I can get the result. Right, so this is very cool. What probably people forget or don't know, that despite having this OAuth client provider, I can still use client ID and secret if I want. So let's say I'll remove this policy. I will add a standard client ID enforcement. Right, so right, which will look for these headers. Let's put it up. And so I guess I need to wait some seconds before it's been applied in my API. And then we will see that it will work with like the old school or the default way of Anypoint with the client ID and secret. So the client ID and client secret, right, which we received, they will be verified as well. And let's try, I think it should be working already. Yeah, it does. Let's try to change it, and still working. Okay, so now it still has no policy, so we still need to wait till it's applied. And okay, so now the policy is being applied, the API is kind of restarting. Now it's invalid client, which is correct. Let's remove this 3, now it's the correct client, and now it's working. So I just wanted to show that this works. Okay, so that's a good thing. So what can we do now? Now, let's say we wanted to do some client management. As client management, right, we may like to either delete a client or update client details or update client secret. And this is where it's getting interesting. So now we are diving into like the more advanced use case. Let's say we would like to delete a client application. So as an organization administrator, I'm going to API manager, I'm going to client applications, right? And what's our client application under brand new realm? That's new application 1. And we would like to delete it from Anypoint platform, right? So here I can do this. I can check the secret. I can reset the secret. We'll do that later, but let's just delete. And you cannot do this. And the reason why you cannot do this is because according to the OpenID client registration specification, you don't need any authentication to create a public client, a public for confidential you do, but you do need to be authenticated and you do need to have roles and permissions to manage client, meaning to update them or delete them. So this won't work. What do we do? And right, we can also see, well, I can demonstrate that creation of the clients just works. So this is the Keycloak. Let's copy the realm. So this is getting client details. Right, let's say we have no authentication and we want to get client details. And I cannot. Now let's say we have no authentication and I want to create a new client. Right, so authentication, let's say no auth body. Yeah, we will change that now. So this is our brand new realm. This is the registration, the client's registration URL. Now let's remove all ID. So ID and secret details, will remove that. Right. So this is the very similar. So this request is very similar to what Anypoint platform is sending to Keycloak when we register a new client, without authentication, right? No custom headers, and this is kind of body. So where you put the name, you select your grant types, redirect URLs, and then I assume this should work. Actually, I know why this won't work. Right, why this is not working. Client registrations, OpenID connect. Right, because it's put, it must be post. So, sorry, post request. Let's send a post request, and this will hit the trusted hosts policy again. And I will now remove it completely because I have a public internet provider. I don't know what's my host. So I'll disable, don't do this at home. But now when it's disabled, I can demonstrate what Anypoint platform does with Keycloak without any authorization, authentication. Let's just send it. The client was created. We are receiving back client ID and secret. This is what Anypoint platform would show us. And its name was public client test. Let's see it in Keycloak. Keycloak listed here, clients. Let's go to clients. Public client test. Here it is. Now let's say I would like to get the details of this client, right? So what I'm doing regularly, I'm taking its ID. It's a GET request to the OpenID client registrations endpoint. So I need its ID here. Let's say I have no authorization. I don't need anybody. I'm just sending it. And it tells me I cannot do this. So this is what I meant. When I want to grab the details or delete or update, I do need to be authorized as a service account with particular roles, and we'll get to it now. So I cannot use this account, but because this is a public account for API only, I need a service account which we created before. So this is our brand new client, right? I need to get a token for this account. Let's do that, brand new client, and it's secret. Right, so now client grant credentials, will grab a token for it. And let's see how this should work or not, and we'll see. So let's paste our new token. Let's send the request. Okay, now this is insufficient scope, and that's correct because this brand new account, so brand new client, does not have permissions to check and verify and look for other clients. We need to give it that role. We are doing this under service account roles. We need to assign it a role. We need to go for clients, and it's the real managed clients. So managed clients already includes deletion, update, and creation, and it's just comfortable. So let's assign it to this client. So now this client can act as a manager of other clients. Now we need to generate another token for this client, right? So brand new client, slightly bigger token. And with this token now, it has enough permissions to query other and manage other clients. So let's see. And right, we can get the details of another client. So this will work, and this is cool. And if I want, I can also trigger delete from here. All right, and let's do that. So as we can see, this public client test we created exists. Now let's delete it. And this is the sample of the operations of what exactly Anypoint platform will be sending to Keycloak, right, as specified here. So these put and delete operations, I'm just showing them here in Postman because, right, so for you to understand what's happening behind the scenes and how we're going to use it. So now I'm going to delete it, right, and it's gone, meaning it should be also gone here. right? So there is no public client anymore. Now, how do I do it from the Anypoint platform, right? I wanted to do it from here, but I couldn't. One way of doing this is to configure the authentication bearer token in my client provider. So the brand new client provider, this is what was here. So here it is possible for me to configure a bearer token. And here I need to put a token. Now there is another challenge with Keycloak, so to say. So for my brand new client, when I generate a token, as we could see here, right, it has an expiration time, and it's per default 5 minutes. So, right, if I put a token here, it will be valid for 5 minutes, and that's it. So one not recommended way of working with this is for this client, we can configure the token expiration period, which I think we can do here. Right, access token lifespan default 5 minutes. So we can say let it expire in, I don't know, lots of days, so 300 days, which is also right. So after a year, everybody forgets about it, and then suddenly a system won't work. So what do you do? Right, so I don't know, let's give it 200 days. I'm not even sure that it's reasonable or possible, but let's say 200 days. Let's save it. So what we will see now when I'm requesting a token, it has a much longer expiration timestamp. I still think it's not big enough. So this is not a solution, this is kind of temporary workaround, but let's just see how it works. So we are taking this token, we are configuring it here, right, and let's save. So now with that token, the requests which will be sent by Anypoint platform to Keycloak, so our client registration endpoint, will be authenticated, and will be authenticated with all the permissions of the service account behind this bearer token. Let's check that. So under API management, client applications, we wanted to delete this new application. Right, so last time delete didn't work. This time, let's see that it works. Let's actually inspect our requests, right, so network. So we want to delete this guy and go. As we could see, it worked now, so there is no response, just no content. Very well. And that application, so that client application, also disappeared from here, from the Keycloak, meaning the operation was successful. But as we said, it's not the best way of doing things. Okay, now let's create another client and verify what's the next challenge with Keycloak. And the next challenge with Keycloak is actually rotating secrets, or like updating. So updating the client application will work, but rotating secrets won't, and we will see why. So let's create another one here. Request access. Right, create new application. Rotate my secret application. Check something. Okay, and created. SLA tier done. Let's verify that it was created here. So here, rotate my secret application. We'll look at it credentials. So right here it is, something with EE at the end. And this is the same which we'll be able to see in the Anypoint platform. Client applications, rotate my secret. So something with EE at the end. Now let's do something interesting. So we already configured the bearer token, which has enough power to delete and update client applications. And rotating the secret is actually the put operation being sent to my client's registration endpoint. So I expected, and what's happening actually is that Anypoint platform, when I click here rotate, it will generate a new secret, and it will send that new secret with the put operation to Keycloak. And right, so something with EE. Let's rotate. right? We will see the result of the reset operation created, and the response will have the same client secret. So what's happening is that Anypoint platform generated a new secret, sent it to Keycloak, but Keycloak responded with the same secret because it did not update it. And the reason is because according to its Keycloak rules, or maybe even OpenID protocol rules, I'm not sure, put operation cannot regenerate client secrets. You cannot do it with the put operations. You can change the name, you can change the scope, the grant types, but not the secret. So, right, we can also verify it via Postman. It's going to be interesting. So, let's do that. So here is our, let's do first get, right? So what's our new secret? Here it is. Let's first get its payload. I think I need this token, right, to make post and put. Okay, let's go. Right, so this is my payload of my of that client application with EE, right? So let's copy that, and now we would like to update it, right? So we'll send it as a JSON, and when we update it, right? So let's say we don't update all these fields. Client secret, client ID remains the same. But right, so let's say we want to update two things: the name and also the secret. Let's remove this EE and just type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Shoot. As we can see, the operation is successful. The name of the client got updated, right? So I can see this from the response from Keycloak, but not the secret. And that's what's happening also with the Anypoint platform. It will not update the secret through the put operation. And we will see how we solve that. So, right, let's verify that the name was updated. Secrets. Right, it was. So how do we update the secrets? In order to update the secrets, we need to use the admin API of the Keycloak. And in that admin API, we just say, yeah, your client application by ID, regenerate the secret. To use the admin API, we need to have a client application with a service account in the master realm, because to use the admin REST API of Keycloak, you need to have a service account with admin permissions in the master realm. So we go to master realm. We, where are we? We go to the clients. We create a client. Right? Actually, I created one. It's called Keycloak Admin Client. So with this Keycloak Admin Client, it must have an admin role, as mentioned. Right, under service account, so admin role, and we have its credentials. So now with this Keycloak admin client, if I'm triggering the admin API to generate a secret, a new secret for our client, that will work. And let's see how that works. Let's come back to our brand new realm. Our rotate my secret client, so it's this EE. Let's see how we change it through the APIs, and then how we can do it from the Anypoint platform. So I already have a URL pre-configured to getting the token for a master realm for our Keycloak admin client in the master realm. Let's get a token. And with this token, I'm able to trigger a generate secret admin API. Here it's under admin. Okay, let's first update the token. What? Okay, so here it has no body, but I need to update the realm and the client ID. So let's take the realm. And the client ID. Right. Okay, so let's, again, we have this EE here. Now let's trigger regeneration of the secret. And I'm unauthorized. Why am I unauthorized? I did put right token, right? Did I? Get master token. Let's do it again. Bearer token. Okay, so I probably did not paste it. So now this worked. This is my new secret. That's something with the G1. And we should also see that it was updated here. Let's just reload the page. Right, something with G1. So this is how you update a secret. Now the next question is, how do you do it from the Anypoint platform? In the Anypoint platform, there is, I mean, you cannot, you just have that put operation. So what I did to solve that, I did a small MuleSoft application, right? So we are MuleSoft users, we do MuleSoft applications, and let me show you what it is and how it works. Right, so while it's loading, okay, it's fast. Should not show that file. So while it's loading, let's go into Exchange. So I already kind of designed a small API, which is right representing the proxy towards Keycloak. So it reflects the Keycloak client's registration specification by a lot. Let's see how it looks like. When Anypoint loads, of course. So no magic here, just, schema, some path is client registration, which supports, right? So it will support post to create new clients, but also once the client is there, to grab its details, update either the client details or the secrets. We'll see how it's done, but also to delete the clients. So the whole specification is here. Once it's there, we publish it to Exchange. And then from here go on and implement. So here it is in Exchange. And let's see how it's implemented. So, so this is already a ready project which implements that. And let's start from the simple use cases. And for registering the client, so this is the post operation to the client registrations. It's very simple. It's using API router, by the way, to navigate to these flows. So for the post operation to client's registration, it's simple. We just forward the request to Keycloak, but we will authenticate with the proper bearer token of the our client, which will be used as a service account. So when developing this application, I was using a different realm actually. So I'll just show how it works here. Right, so this Anypoint client here is being used as a service account with all the permissions. And we will see when I'm sending requests to Keycloak how it's configured. So of course, the Keycloak host base path, which includes your realm. So you work with this proxy against a pre-configured realm. And then when the request has been authenticated, I'm using the client credentials grant type to grab the bearer token for this API for the client, meaning with that I can then not only create clients, but I can also delete and update them and grab their details. So that's exactly what we are doing here, right, by putting the bearer token. Okay, so as we said, for creating the clients, we just proxy to Keycloak, respond back with Keycloak's response. Not much magic here. For getting the client's details, the same, we just send the GET request to Keycloak with the client ID included in the path. Proxy responds back to Anypoint platform in our case. Same for deletion, right? We just proxy the delete request to the Keycloak and send the response back. And here is the interesting part, right? So we saw how the admin API is being used to regenerate the secret. So this separate flow is implementing the generation of the new secret. So this request to Keycloak admin API, right? So you see the admin here, is doing exactly that. So it's triggering regeneration of the secret. Let's see, it's actually, right, so it's authenticating itself against Keycloak with that master client ID, right? So in our master realm, we needed another client application with admin permissions to be able to trigger client's secret regeneration. This is exactly what this master client ID is doing. Everything is, of course, in the settings, right? So the master token URL for the master realm, the master client ID for the master realm with admin, and also the token URL of the realm we are right using for this proxy. Okay, so right, so let's look at the interesting operation. So when we want to update our client application, so what Anypoint platform does, if you did not click on the client secrets rotation, right? So on the platform here, if you're just in your Exchange, looking at your application, at your client applications, and if you just want to update its, oh no, that's the wrong one. Here, rotate my secret. So if you just want to update the details, right? So maybe the name here. So this will be a put request towards Keycloak or our proxy, but the secret will remain the same. So it will also send the secret. It will be the same. If we click on regenerate, if we click on rotate the secret, right? If we are here, if we click here, Anypoint platform will generate a new secret, so it will not be the same. And this is what I'm using here in this proxy as kind of a decision point, right? So the put request comes in here. I'm fetching, like, right? So I'm reusing this get request and fetching the details of the client application from the Keycloak. And then I'm comparing the client secret in Keycloak and in the payload coming from the Anypoint. And if they are not the same, this means that the secret's rotation reset operation was triggered. If they are the same, that means that this is just details update request. And right, so if we need to trigger secrets rotation, this flow reference will go here, will trigger the secrets rotation. With the result, so with that updated secret, it will go and update the secret in the original payload, and will continue and send that put request to Keycloak. And what Keycloak will respond with to that put request, so first it will update all the rest of the details apart from the secret, and it will respond with the updated secret, meaning what we send back to Anypoint is the actual updated view of our client application, and this is what Anypoint platform will use to update its secret in its representation. Right, so also out of the box you get this code if you want. It's already on GitHub. I'll publish the links. Right, it has its POM already configured for this application as well as for deployment to CloudHub. By the way, if you need a smallish template with CloudHub 2 deployment, you can use it. And right, so here under this deployment bash script, you first deploy to Exchange and then to CloudHub, as the CloudHub 2 deployment requires us to do. So that's a very basic overview. Now let's see that in action. I've already actually deployed it to CloudHub. So here under runtime, yeah, we can see this application running, and we'll use it as our proxy. Right, so here it is. I actually do have, right, so this Keycloak Proxy app, I do have the URL here as well. Let's copy it here. So I do need this, and this will be my new client registration endpoint, which I will configure for my client's provider. So under client providers, under this brand new provider, let's configure it here. So we will proxy all these requests from Anypoint platform via our application. And that's it. It will support all the operations. Okay, so next, what we're going to do next is we'll create a new client and see that all the operations are being supported. let's go for it. So as we remember, this API is configured with that brand new client provider. Let's create a new one. Fully working application client. Something doesn't matter. Let's create it. So this request is already going through the proxy, right? And you can see it's working. Fully working application client. Let's check it that it was created, of course, in the brand new realm. And oh no, sorry. Okay, that was confusing. I need to change things. The proxy deployed is configured to use this just a test realm. So I need to, of course, configure my API to use that realm as well. So let's do that. Okay, let's go back to my API in API management. If I want to change the API clients, so the clients provider, I need to remove all the contracts from this API because, right, so here, let's say, so this is the original one, so client provider one. Let's, by the way, check that client provider one is already configured with that proxy. And it is. Very good. So now, okay, so let's say I'm changing this to client provider one. I cannot do this because I already have contracts. This is what I mentioned at the beginning. Let's remove these contracts. Poor consumers won't be able to use their APIs anymore. Don't do this at home. And now I'm able to change the client provider. Okay, now with this new client provider 1 is using this just a test realm, right? Let's now subscribe to this API with this new clients provider. Yeah. Let's create a new one. I think I already did have that fully working. Right, let's remove it for the test purposes. And okay. Fully working brand new application. That's very promising. Localhost. Okay, let's create a new client. So as fully working brand new, right, we will now see that it's already using the proxy. How do we know it? If we look at our runtime logs of this, right, we can see it's logging that already. So it is using the proxy for talking to Keycloak. And now, once it's there, let's see that we can do all the operations as expected. If we go to client applications, fully working brand new application. Right, so let's see, I want to rotate the client secret. It's something with OVC. It's, by the way, inspected. And OVC, let's rotate. And we get something with, well, okay, HOVC. Let's rotate it again just to have something different. Okay, this looks totally different. S0U. Okay, so here we have S0U, and let's verify that it's consistent with Keycloak. So first, this is our fully working brand new application. We go in credentials, S0U, so that's consistent, right? I can rotate it again. And it will be something with DNE. Let's refresh. And it's, when it refreshes, it's DNE. Yes, faster. It's DNE. Yeah, so that one's consistent. Let's also see that we are able to update the details without affecting the secret, right? That's the second use case. And we do that from the exchange. under my applications, fully working brand new application, if I just want to update the name, so this should not update the secret, but just the name. I don't know why this one disappears. I don't think it's good. Anypoint should do it better. But we want to update the name, not the secret. So the secret should stay. The secret should stay with this LTNE. Okay, let's click update. Right, we have the new name here. We have the new name here, and let's check the secret. LTNE, so the secret remained the same, meaning this proxy is working. And right, if you look at the logs, right, all the operations were here, updating, getting. Let's also confirm deletion is working. Right. Client applications, something brand new. Let's delete it. And deleted, and so this fully working brand new 1, 2, 3 should not be here anymore. And as you can see, it's not here anymore, meaning that proxy would do the trick for your client application provider fully working with Keycloak. Where you can go from here is actually, let's say, as part of the secrets rotation, you would like to inform the consumer about the new secret. So integrating into this workflow, like, I don't know, another workflow another flow which will, I don't know, trigger Bitwarden's secret send option as an API and send the secret to the consumer, or like whatever you want, just whatever your enterprise policies are telling you to do with the secrets when they're being rotated. I'm yet to discover how to do it like with kind of webhook or something from the Keycloak side. So it would be logical to develop this flow once, right? So sending the secrets to the consumer and then use it from both Anypoint or Keycloak side. Because normally when you configure an external client provider management, so the management should happen in the Keycloak, right? I think it must be supported in the Anypoint platform. That's the point of this session actually. But basically the Keycloak will be your guiding side. But it's good to know that you can also manage that and configure that proxy. And it's also up to the expectations which we had, right? So according to Anypoint platform, neither put nor delete operations are expected to work out of the box with your IDP, right? It's intended for interception bound pointing to your application under control, and that's exactly what we did. So we developed this small proxy application, which is available for everybody because I could not find any available on the internet. I searched for it. I did not want to redo this work, but sometimes you just have to. So here it is. Enjoy if you need it. Or actually, you could use it for any other IDP, so it doesn't have to be Keycloak, right? So if instead of Keycloak here, you configure your own IDP, whatever you have, so just, extend it, change it to your own IDP and enjoy the proxy. Hope that was useful. Take care.